Hey guys, welcome back to the flight sim. It's good to be here. Well, you guys running your engines is really noisy out here. I'm not seeing anyone with pink wheels actually. Oh god, I can even hear them running in here. Let me close the window. Still not much better. Oh, you guys running your engines way too early. Well, welcome back to the stream. We're going to see how this goes. This is the third leg of our DC-6s over Germany. I'm trying something new. I'm playing in 4K with the new graphics and everything, and I've made the tweaks that Gavin recommended in his latest video. And of course the stream is still at 1080p, and I just noticed where the chat is on the screen, so let me adjust that. Have to readjust a bunch of these little things to make them a little bit easier to see. So we'll move the chat over to there. I'll leave the other things. We'll see where they pop up. But we're flying down to Stuttgart today. Donut Man, if you look down on the beside the pilot seat, there's the light lever with the lock over it. That's the control gust lock release. That'll release the controls. So let me know if you see anything that I need to adjust. I've got a new bar across the top of the screen, as you can see, with a few other little bits of information on it, and hopefully the graphics are looking good on the stream. I am watching the stream as well, and we got a bunch of people here today, so very quickly I'm going to say hi to, we got Donut Man, Pilot Pat, Dark Fury, Oki's here, Kevin's here, Wayne, Dr. Magic, I think I mentioned Dark, yeah. So we got a bunch of people flying with us today, so we are going to get going. It is noisy out here at the airfield. So we'll start loading everyone in, and we'll get our weight and balance set up as we go with that and take a look at our route. So the people are coming on board. I'm actually going to close the cabin here, see if it gets quieter. That door is closed. Now there's Wayne in his Spitfire. I'm going to turn the radios on since we're going to be using them in a minute. So let me go to the ground battery. There we go. And are the radios going to work for me now? I'm sure he's still got them all turned off. Don't want to do any of the before start, because then they close up everything before we're ready to go. But anyway, let's get our load in. So our fuel today is 6,862 pounds. So we will set that up. 6,862. $6,866. Good enough. So there's our main tanks have the fuel, and today we have 33 passengers today. So we'll get that dialed in. And we're carrying about 500 pounds of baggage. So we're got about a half load on board. Our max gross weight is 74729, so that is going to be a dry takeoff. And if we look at our chart, we are going to be V1, our sea level is below 2,000 feet, so V1 of 83 and a rotation at 98.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
we are
I
good
would
there.
like to welcome you aboard our flight. When you find your seat, please be sure to place your larger
So
carry-on
everybody's still
items
getting
in the overhead bins and
put
smaller
in the back.
items underneath
That's
the
good.
seat in front of you. Unless you're in the front row, please place all of your items in the overhead bin.
So our
If you have
route
any
for
trouble
today,
finding a location for your carry-on items, please let a flight attendant know and we would be happy to assist you. After you put your carry-on
and we
items
will bring
in
up
the
the
overhead
Navigraph
bin
chart.
when it is full, make sure you close it as a courtesy to other passengers. Also, be sure that the aisle is clear and sit down so
You see
that
our
way
route
other
today?
passengers can
We're
get
going to be
by.
taking off on 25
If
left.
needed
The
in
winds
an emergency
are
exit
kind of
row,
northwest.
please review the exit seating
So we're going to head off on
responsibilities
25
and
left. We're going to
safety
turn to the
provided for you.
south. We're going to head down to the
Please ensure
first
that you are able
VOR,
and willing to perform these actions.
which is here.
If you're not, please let a
And then
flight
we're going to
attendant
follow
know
the
so that we can
VORs
proceed.
down
Feel free
to
use
here,
your
and then
cell
we're
phone
going to head
during
off
the
of this one
boarding
at about
process, but we do ask that laptops,
225
tablets, and any
degree
other
heading,
larger electronic devices are
and
sealed
coming
once
in
you
for
depart.
the ILS
Thank you and welcome aboard.
for runway 25 at Stuttgart. The weather at Stuttgart is pretty calm right now, so we're going to take the ILS for 25, and we should be good. We're cruising at 12,000 feet today. So what we can do is we can head over here, and we're going to set our flight level to 12,000, and that'll help with the cabin pressurization when we get there. You can see their cabin altitude is going to come up a little bit, so cabin altitude will come up to just over 2,000 feet for the flight. Alright, everybody's still getting loaded on board. See who we got around us here today. There we got a King Air beside us. United Airlines DC-6 running. We got the Easy Prop over here. Mighty Mackerel's flying. We got Dark Fury and Dr. Magic and another King Air up there. And of course, we've got Wayne here providing escort in the Spitfire. All right. So we
We're
are
ready to go when you are.
pretty much done with that, and everyone is now on board. So we'll go back over to the ramp manager. The wheel chocks can come out, and the cargo hold and the exit stairs will get all secured. Cargo hold's moving again. There they go. Everything is now getting quiet with all the doors closed.
Our flight time will be roughly 1 hour
Oop.
and 35
Just
minutes.
realized that's
Now
still
that
on
the
the
cabin
screen.
door is closed, please make sure that all devices are in airplane mode
There
and
we
your
go.
large devices are now shut down and stowed. Please fasten your seatbelt and make sure that all tray tables and seat backs are in a full upright and locked position for departure. Cabin crew, secure doors for departure.
All right, so let's get her ready to go.
Cockpit pre-flight.
Power's on. I know there's switches you gotta turn on, and I'll let them do it.
Completed. Voice recorder.
So, first frequency we're gonna need is the KLF VOR, which is 115.15.
Checked. Pressurization. Set.
115.15.
Manifold and duct pressure.
The second VOR we're gonna need is the GOT VOR, 115.25.
Checked.
115.25.
Matches.
And on nav 2, I'm going to tune in the ILS frequency at Stuttgart, which is 109.9. And that'll give me distance as we get
Door
closer.
warning lights. Out. Gear pins.
Okay. So that's my nav radios are all set. We're not doing any
Seatbelts,
NDBs.
pedals. Adjusted.
Transponder,
Throttles.
we'll set to 7,000.
Set to idle. Propellers.
There we go.
Forward and 3.
Shamrock, hi, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Yeah, it is EDDS, which is Stuttgart in Germany. Oop. I have an issue. I'm going to turn that off. And let me fix something here. See, it only takes a week and you forget everything you have to do. I just realized what was happening and what all that clicking was. And it is the fact that I have to do this. DC-6, and I'm going to set my throttles up. So I may have to run through that start checklist again. There we go. Apply. Go back. Resume. I should now have throttle control. I do. Alright.
Cockpit briefing. Completed. Voice recorder. Tasted. Oil coolers and
So
gel
just
flaps.
give that a minute.
Auto and position. Fuel and fluids. Checked. Pressurization. Set. Manifold and duct pressure.
What do you need a tissue for, Wayne?
Radios. Checked. Doors and hatches.
Alright, let's get you guys seated.
Closed. Door warning lights. Out. Gear pins. Removed. 3 on 4. Seat belts and pedals. Adjusted. Throttles.
Boy, that is noisy,
Safety
isn't it?
vital. Propellers. Forward and 3.
Should just be about ready to start.
Before start checks complete.
There we go.
Start engines.
Starting engines. So number 3, magnetors are on both engine selectors on 3. Main fuel pump booster pumps are on low. Cranking engine number 3.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Yeah, Shamrock, this is our tour of Germany. We're going to be flying
Ladies and
many
gentlemen,
legs
please direct your attention to
all
the screen
over,
for an important safety demonstration.
as we
Thank you for
tour
flying
around.
with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board this Royal Canadian Air Force Douglas DC-6 aircraft. On behalf of the crew, I ask that you please direct your attention to the cabin attendants as we review the emergency procedures. There are 9
Cranking
emergency
4.
exits on this aircraft, 5 on the left and 4 on the right. Take a minute to locate the exit closest to you. Note that the nearest exit may be behind you. Count the number of rows to this exit. Should the cabin experience sudden pressure loss, stay calm and listen for instructions from the cabin crew. Oxygen masks will drop down from above your seat. Place the mask over your mouth and nose, like this. Pull the strap
that's not
to tighten
good.
it. In the unlikely event of an emergency landing and evacuation, leave your carry-on items behind. In the event of a water landing, life vests are located
Alright,
below
what
your
happened?
seats
Oh,
and emergency
I know what
lighting
happened.
will lead you to your closest exit and
Forgot he
slide.
doesn't do
We
these.
ask that you make sure that all carry-on luggage is stowed away safely during the flight. Smoking
Alright,
is
crank
only
it again.
permitted when the no smoking sign is out. While we wait for takeoff, please take a moment to review the safety data card in the seat pocket in front of you.
12.
Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à bord de cet avion douglas DC-6 de l'aviation royale canadienne.
Alright, good start.
Au nom de l'équipage, je vous demande de porter votre attention sur les agents de bord pendant que nous
Engine 2,
examinons les
mixture
procédures
auto.
d'urgence. Il y a 9 sorties de
Magnetos
secours
to
sur cet
both,
avion, 5 à
boost to
gauche
low.
et 4 à droite.
Selector to
Prenez
engine
une minute
2.
pour localiser la sortie la plus proche de chez vous. Notez que la sortie la plus proche peut
Starting
être
engine 2.
derrière vous. Comptez le nombre de lignes jusqu'à cette sortie. Si la cabine subit une perte de pression soudaine, restez calme et écoutez les instructions du personnel de cabine. Les masques à oxygène tomberont du dessus de votre siège. Placez le masque sur votre bouche et votre nez, comme ceci. Tirez sur sur la sangle pour la serrer. Dans le cas peu probable d'un atterrissage d'urgence et d'une évacuation, laissez vos bagages à main derrière vous.
All right, looks like a good
En cas
start.
d'amérissage, des gilets de sauvetage sont situés sous vos sièges
Wait
et un
for it to
éclairage
click
de
off.
secours vous mènera à votre sortie et toboggans les plus proches. Nous vous demandons de vous assurer que tous les bagages à main sont rangés en
All
toute
right.
sécurité pendant le volume.
Bags
Fumer
to
n'est
both.
autorisé que lorsque le panneau d'interdiction de fumer
Engine
est éteint.
selector
Pendant
number
que
1.
nous attendons le décollage,
pump on,
veuillez
low.
prendre un moment pour
Cranking number
examiner
1.
la carte de données de sécurité dans la poche du siège devant vous. Thank you and enjoy your flight.
9, 12,
There we go. Engine number 1. Cruising at 12,000, Dark. 12,000, flight level 120. All right. We have a good start. All 4 engines are running. Going to low idle. We have fuel pressure on all 4 engines, oil pressure on all 4 engines, temperatures are rising all 4 engines. Car should be good, water pressures are good, fuel flows are reading fine where they should be. RPMs are good, pressures are good. And we have good starts. So let's do the... Oh, is it? Let me... Where is the volume for the crew? Turn that down a bit. Thank you for that. Alright, after start checklist.
start selective boost pumps. Off and off. Battery switch. Plane entry. Generators and inverters. Checked and on. Emergency lights. Armed. Ground power. Removed. After start checks complete.
Alright, so we are good to start our taxi. So we're gonna head out. We're gonna make a right turn. We can go straight out down to taxiway Bravo, and then we're gonna go to Mike 8 and hold for runway 25 left. So we'll release the parking brake. Start rolling forward. See our taxi line ahead.
Cabin is ready.
Flight crew have the cabin ready to go. Yeah, I think the cabin crew is fine. I think the safety briefing was a little loud. I turned the cabin crew volume down. I'm not sure if that's going to work with the safety announcements or not. We'll see. Anyway, we're going to follow this line straight out. Hopefully Kevin can join us quickly. And looks like we've lost another DC-6. Back inside, I think we got a little bit of a hill, so we'll add a little bit of power. once we're on Bravo, we'll do the before takeoff checks. There's a Fly UK Airbus going by. So as I said, I'm running 4K. So we'll see if those graphic improvements like Gavin talked about make a big difference. Wonder how many of these guys are Xboxers. Be interesting to know. Okay, so our first heading, we're going to want a magnetic compass heading of 170. So we're going to dial in the 170, or sorry, 171 radial. About there. And that should get us heading the right way once we take off, but we're going to do a kind of a manual steer to get us down to that position. There's Oki beside us. Lonely farter, yeah, there he is. Oh, you get squeaky brakes on a lot of old airplanes like this, Donut Man. Are you around us? I didn't see you. Oh, you're right behind me. Oh, there's Mackerel. Where'd, I don't know where Dark Fury went. Did you have an issue, Dark? Oh, sim crash. I see. I'm sure Kevin will be, up soon in his mighty Mackerel. So we're going to head down here on Bravo. Now the live weather in Brandenburg currently, like I said, has the winds out of the 320 at 5 knots. Temperature's 18 degrees. QNH is 1012. So while we're doing that, we will dial that in, which is there. So that should be about 200 feet. Get you dialed in there as well. There you go. So both sides are set. And we will run the before takeoff checklist.
Boost pumps. Boost pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carb heat. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure and quantity checked. Okay. Flaps 20. Flaps set 20. Windows and turbine. Closed and on. Controls. Gust lock released. Free. Detonator. On. Mixture and cowl flaps. Region locked. Set. Transponder. On. Landing lights.
There's Oki waiting for us. Thank you very much. So we're going to go M8.
Before takeoff checks complete.
And takeoff checks are all done. We're going to roll right out onto the runway. We are clear on the approach path. Do a quick control check. Everything is looking good. My Escort is right behind us. See VOR 2 or Nav 2 is picking up something. It's not the ILS that we're after. It's something more local. Alright. Path is clear. Runway's clear. I love the big X across the runway saying don't use it, but we're going to use it anyway. Don't know why Brandenburg would have X's on their runways. It's a brand new airport. Alright. Brakes are set. So dry takeoff. And here we go.
30 inches stabilize. 30 inches stabilize.
Flight engineers bringing up the power. .30 inches of manifold pressure on all 4 engines.
30 inches stabilized. Cal flaps. Cal flaps. Cal flaps set. Full power, please. Going full power.
So we're gonna rotate at 98 knots and climb out at about 120. .50 inches.
Full power set.
Brakes released. And we're rolling. Dark Fury's back in the sim. They'll be joining us in a minute. Airspeed's live. 80 knots. 90. It's 100. Easing back.
Missouri, gear up. Gear selected up.
120 knots. Pitching for 120.
Gear up, lights out.
It's 500 feet. Nose down. Go to about 135. Get set up for VTOL power. It's 130.
Flaps going up.
Just gonna want to nose down with the flaps coming up. $135, 140.
VTOL power. Setting VTOL power, 48 inches, 2600 RPM.
Alright, it's 1,500 feet. We're going to begin our turn to the south. And we're going to now pitch for 165.
Climb power. Setting climb power.
So we're going to turn to a heading of about 120 degrees. And that should take us on an intercept for the radial that we want.
Climb power set. After takeoff checklist, please. After takeoff checks complete.
Actually, the VOR is picking up what we want, so we're just going to head straight to the VOR now, and we will dial in, or we'll bring online the gyro pilot. And you can see our speed's increasing, so we're going to come up on the climb slightly. bring that back to 165. Climbing out, there's 4,000 feet. I'm going to turn the OBS until we're lined up. Now we can go localizer mode. We're going to fly towards the beacon now, or the VOR. 163, good climb speed. Put the pad away. 14 miles out from the first VOR. And we're looking good. The changes we made to the graphics are looking really, really good here. There's our shadow. Nice little village down here. Dr. Magic's off in the distance a little bit. But everything else is looking really good. Graphics are looking good down here. Again, we're climbing to 12,000 feet. Speed's dropping below 160, so we'll go 2 clicks down on the wheel here on the gyro pilot. Try to get us back to 165. Another 2 more clicks. Big thing about this, as I've mentioned before, is make an adjustment and then let it sit and level off. Work out how it's going to change things for a minute and then see where you sit and see if you need to make another adjustment. There's 2 more clicks. We'll let it sit for a minute. Slowly coming in. So while we're climbing out, if you haven't noticed, I do have a Discord now. I'll get Nightbot to throw it up. And it is up and running, so if you want to come over, I put information up there. There's some good channels, some good discussions, the usual screenshot stuff. Also, I have news feeds with aviation and flight sim news. So new releases, things that are coming out for the sim and in the real aviation world, because after all, we do have an interest in that as well. If we're in the flight sim, so it's always good to have that. It keeps us up to date with what's going on. Just coming up for 8,000 feet. Alright, so we're now 7 miles out. So what we're going to do, back over to gyro pilot mode. Up to the radios, we're going to tune in the next one, which is the 11525. The one after that is 11385. So we'll go 85 and 113. We'll dial that in and get that one ready. So we got a bit of a haul on the next one. It's 77 miles away. And we're going to want to tune in a heading of 245, which would put us right there in the middle. You can see we're 84 miles away from that one. So because we're flying towards it now, you can see it's almost off our right wing. Once this comes within 1 dot of center, we'll go back into localizer mode.
Gentlemen, we have now passed 10,000
and we will track that. So we're going to go to 113 on the altimeter, standard pressure, or 1013. Here's the cabin crew talking in the back. So we'll get about 2,000 feet to go until we level off. And you can see our distance to go is 262 miles. Climbing at it about 163 knots. Slowly coming in on the radial for the next VOR. So we're going to go over to localizer mode now. We'll pick that up, and now we can concentrate on our altitude. We want 10,000 feet, and we're going to want to be able to slow down our ascent rate as we approach, so we can level off. See that our pressurization system is working here. It's looking really good. So 500 feet to go. No, let's get you back on. Didn't mean to do that. And we're gonna have to crank down rather quickly. Try to get her to come back down to 12,000 feet. And there we go. (12,000 feet. Altitude hold is now on. So we should be holding at around 12,000. And our speed is built up, so we can now do our cruise checklist.
Set cruise power, please. Setting cruise power.
Radio properly set in. There we go. It's better.
Cruise checks are complete.
So we're heading over to pick up that radial now. We're slightly off to the left, but we're in cruise mode. Flight engineer has the engines, and everything is looking good. It's got some high cloud above us. The other DC-6s around. So I've managed to set up a few outside views. Let's see, we start with this one. There's still an issue, a glitch we have with the, around the cockpit for some reason. I think it's still there. I don't think they've fixed it yet, where you get some weird textural issues. Good look back. We got our internal views. There's Oki down. I don't know where he's going. He's exploring by the looks of it. We got the other wing. That's pretty much it. for views out the back at the moment. Of course, we still have that shadow issue. Just flickering shadows. But we're now on that radial heading. So we're heading down to the next VOR. The 1138. Well, the one we're heading to right now is the Goten VOR. And then after that, it is the Erfurt VOR, which is not a huge distance. Then we've got another long stretch. So we head down to the Würzburg VOR. And this is a typical German one, hard to pronounce. Dinkelsbühl is the last VOR, and from there we're going to turn in towards the airport. But for those wondering, we're currently flying, let's get a better view, we're currently heading up towards the town of Jessen. We'll be flying over that in a second. We could probably see it. There it is there. Town of Jessen, down there. There's my Spitfire Escort. So again, something I've been working on is a round-the-world flight in the DC-6. So that one is going to be coming. I think it's good. We're to wait a little bit and see how things shake out and settle down in the sim. I'll probably the around the world flight will be done on weekends with an earlier start, just because some of the legs are going to be 5 or 6 hours long, given the distances we have to go. So yeah, I'd say sharpening up the graphics, as Gavin suggested, has worked. Looking really good. The clouds look good, and I'm not seeing any frame issues. So that is coming along very good. I hope everyone's doing okay out there. Come back in and check everything. We're good. We're 54 miles out from the VOR. We're going to be flying north of Leipzig, Leipzig, and across the town of Halle, which is rather bigger. So we should see what it's like as we pass by some a little bit bigger places. Interesting patterns along the water here. I don't know if those are docks or things to slow down the water flow. It's very interesting. Some nice clouds. So for you guys watching on the stream with the new overlay of the information, how's that looking? Is it readable for you guys? Is it easy to see? Let me know. Okay, if you haven't made any changes to your graphics and setup since the update, what everyone was finding was that they did kind of an overall downgrade on the graphics. So a lot of the sharpness that we were used to when looking at the ground, like from altitude, had disappeared, and it was all kind of blurring. So what the trick has been is finding the settings that would enable you to bring that sharpness back. And one of Gavin's recent videos of EasyJet SimPilot was a couple settings that you could tweak to kind of bring those levels back up. So in addition to the increased performance, which is allowing me to fly in 4K while streaming, it can also handle kicking the resolutions up. So it looks good with the changes I've made. It's brought it back. There's still some issues, I think, with some livery issues, but it seems like all the aircraft are now working. I know the A320, the DC-6, the Spitfire have all been updated after the update to deal with some of these issues, so it all seems to be working. And this is the first major flight I've done. I've done a couple test flights offline, but this is the first major one, especially streaming, and it's working so far. I mean, I like what I'm seeing, so finally got it kind of tweaked. Do you think the gray could be a little bit darker? I was trying not to put something that would like overwhelm the top of the screen. Yeah, Donut Man, you got to remember it's not an autopilot. It just uses gyros to hold the aircraft. If you want, you can input the stuff as a flight plan and then turn on the GPS, and you can load it in so it'll have all the legs as a route, and then when you put it into localizer mode, it will follow the GPS route if you have it on nav. You could do it that way, but I like doing it without. Okay, so if I darken up the background slightly, you guys think it would be more viewable? Okay, I'll do that for the stream on Wednesday. I'll darken that up slightly, make it look a little bit. I guess increase the contrast a little bit. Could definitely do that. I do see a difference, especially, I don't know how much is coming over on the stream, but from what I'm seeing on my main screen, I'm seeing a lot of details now that were kind of washed out slightly before, so it's looking good. Flying over the lakes there, heading off into farm country. So, looks like we got a wind farm below us. A couple wind farms, actually. So the little town that we just flew by on our right was Winterfeldwolfen, and Sandersdorf Brenna, and then we got Brenna right ahead of us. We're just about to fly over. It's under the aircraft right now. Oh, Derek, you figured it out? Yeah, great. It's kind of initially a hard thing to get your head around, but I'm glad you've got it working. Still haven't had to use the alternate tanks, main tanks, cross-feeding stuff. So we're nowhere near stretching the legs. I'm running a 2080 Super, and I'm running 4K Ultra Clouds. The only thing I've got at medium are water textures, and I've boosted my object detail level and terrain detail level to 200%. So it's and it's doing good. I've kind of locked my frame rate to 30 frames. I don't need over 30 frames. I don't care if I'm running 60 or 58 frames. I've locked it at 30 so that the sim can use that extra space for what it's got to do. And from what I'm seeing, it looks great. So, I have been working on this since the release, a week ago. Almost every day going in and tweaking stuff and testing and looking stuff up. So, it has taken a bit of time. You can see just ahead of us, we're coming up to the town of, I don't know if it's Halle or Hall. Not sure of the German pronunciation. Fair-sized town. No, Pilot Pat, no, I'm not that. I haven't figured out, like, whenever I'll save the settings in the sim that I want, but whenever I come back in again, it's always wanting me to do it again. So there's something overriding, and I haven't quite figured that out yet. So I will have to see what I can do in regards to figuring out how I'm going to lock it in. Maybe I'll have to talk to Dark about it, and we'll go over it and see where I got to set what. But I really should be locking it in so I don't have to keep doing it. But I think I've got conflicts with the Nvidia settings overriding the game settings, and I know I went into that user config thing and it seems to be in 14.4 and not 4K for the default. So I do need a little bit of help with that because I don't know enough to go poking around in that stuff. You know, sitting in a view like this makes you really feel thankful for the quiet jets we have nowadays. I've flown in like Q400s by the props, but imagine in these big monsters. Wow, it would be noisy in here. So I'm seeing some really good details on the buildings passing by below, so like I said, I'm happy with it. I just got to get it locked in so I can deal with it. Alright, so we're 12 miles out from the VOR. So the next heading we're going to want is a... let's see which one we're going to next. Okay, we're heading to GOT. The ERF VOR, it's going to be a heading of... 215. Alright, so 9 miles out. We'll come over here. Go back to gyro pilot mode, so it'll just hold it where it is. So we're going to 11385. As you can see, we'll switch that over. The next one is 110.2. So that's now dialed in. Yeah, you might have to play with that pilot pad. Maybe try two or three and see what it does. I mean, I'm sure anything will be an improvement as you go through it. And 215 is what we're going to want here, which is there. Yeah, because that's 220 is the next big line. So we're pretty much there now. So we will turn on the localizer and we'll head out to the next VOR. This is a short one, it's only 30 miles. Yeah, when I first started playing and I went to 4K, I threw in thunderstorms and everything, and I was flying around, and my frame rates were in the 40s. Sometimes very high 30s, but mostly in the low 40s, so more than happy with that. Like I said, I only need 30 for recording and streaming, so it's looking all good. Dialing in on that VOR. So we're running into some clouds. So if we look at the weather, we're below 0 degrees. So I'm going to come up here, and below 0 to minus 40, I'm going to turn on the window heating for the cockpit windows, since we're going to be bouncing through cloud here. And I'm also going to come up here, we're going to turn on the prop de-ice, and we're going to turn on the airfoil. See, those are now coming online, just in case we do have some cloud cover coming up. It's the next generation, Pat. I would have thought that a 2060 would be a big upgrade from a 1660. You know, the architecture on the chips and everything like that, no? So we're going to be heading right into these clouds here. So glad we got the de-ice on. We'll see how he does with the carb heat, if he's got to use that. Fred there. So I've done a quick calculation. The airport elevation at Stuttgart is at 1,200 feet. So if we drop that down to 1,000 feet, that means to be 3,000 feet above the ground, we're going to want to descend to 4,000 feet. So flying at 12,000 feet, that's an 8,000 foot difference. So 5 times 8 is 40. So we're going to want 40 miles to descend, and we're going to add 30 miles for our slow down and stuff, everything when we get down there. So that's going to be 70 miles out. and 70 miles is actually at the Wurzburg VOR. It's almost 70 miles, give or take. So that's where we're going to start our descent, at the Wurzburg VOR. I'll just get a updated weather for Stuttgart. So the winds are picking up a little bit, but it's looking good. 230 at 3 knots. We're coming in on runway 25. So that is what we want to be doing. Looks like we're already picking up the signal from there. The VOR2 is pointing off in that direction, but could be a different VOR. I don't think ILS has run that far out. Still got, how far out are we? 171 miles, roughly. So we're 12 miles to go. Not much of a heading change here, only about 4 degrees. We're going to go up to heading of 219er. And then we're going to head towards the Wurzburg VOR, which is 110.2, which we have up here ready to go. It's 11 o'clock local time. Again, we're coming up for these clouds. Seeing a few lights around. It's interesting how the aircraft sometimes go in and out. Like I can see the lights back here, but I can't see Donut Land's airplane. It's a little frustrating. So there's 5 miles. We'll go back over to the gyro pilot, up to the radio stack. And we'll put in the next frequency, which is going to be the DKB VOR on 117.8. It's 117.8. Okay, and we're going to want to go to a 219, which will be about there, and there's no distance on this VOR, but we are picking it up, which is fine. So we'll go back over to the localizer. Start flying towards it, and this is where your stopwatch and airspeed stopwatch stuff would come into effect. You figure out your ground speed, do a time thing so you know roughly you'll be at that VOR at such and such a time. Did I miss a VOR? Nope. We're heading from Erfurt, the ERF VOR, to the WER VOR, the Wurzburg VOR. Which see the 100 or 110.2 is the Wurzburg VOR. See the arrow is pointing off towards it. Didn't like that heading, but we're kind of turning towards it now. I'm using Sky Vector for my... Yeah, 112. That's what I've got in. That's the next one is 117.8, the one after that. You can hear the FE using the carb heats down there as we get icing as we go through the clouds. That's what that clicking is. He's watching down here the carb temperatures, and he can tell when he has to put heat in. He's monitoring on all the engine instruments. So we're just skimming the tops of these clouds as we go. We're about halfway. Some nice cloud buildup. Windshield heat is located on the upper side above the pilot. So it's this one here, and there's a couple different settings depending on what the outside air temperature is. So it's off above 10 degrees. It's on this setting between 10 and 0, this setting between 0 and 40. And if you're getting like freezing rain and stuff on the aircraft, you just put it right here to anti-icing. It kind of like overdoes it to get off definite ice. And then your anti-ice stuff is located right here. So you've got your cabin heat, which is your heater temperatures and everything up here. You've got your airfoil heat, which is your wings, and it shows your fuel pressure because it uses fuel to burn fuel for heat for this, and it shows the heaters. And then you've got your prop de-icer right here, and carb de-icing switches down here. If you need to actually put on de-icing, but he's using carb heat to melt any ice that forms. Depends how severe it is. So as mentioned, when we get to the Wurzburg VOR, we're going to begin our descent down to 4,000 feet, and that will be a descent at 1,000 feet per minute. And when we hit 10,000 feet, we'll do our descent checklists and have them run through everything there. There's our escort coming in. So, Wayne, I gotta ask, how's it looking in 4K? your your first flight with the 4K monitor? Yeah, turn it right on to de-icing, all the way to the right. That should help. It takes a bit of time for it to clear though, so it's not instantaneous. Looks like you're flying a clipped wing spit to me. Again, the detail on this model is great. You can see the cowl flaps here. You know, they've closed down for in-flight as they've adjusted them, and see just all the little things like that make it look really, really cool. A beautiful landscape below the clouds. So we've got some really low clouds down there. Still sometimes get pixelations and weird graphical issues with the clouds. Sometimes not. I don't know why. It's just weird sometimes. But I love the way the clouds mist in and out as they form and dissolve in the air. Do have some pretty heavy clouds, like the weird little glitches like that. I don't know, not too bad. The weather said there's just few clouds at Stuttgart, so I'm not sure where all this cloud cover is coming from, but maybe it's going to clear up. In case anyone wonders, yes, bungee cords were used rather frequently for shock absorption and vibration absorption. You can see it's hanging bungee cords in all four directions. That's to prevent the vibrations from the airplane, or to dampen them anyway to the compass. It won't completely get rid of it, but it'll dampen it down. Because this is a wet compass with the balls floating in generally alcohol. And you don't want it bubbling up and everything with the vibrations. Oh, did you? Oh, donut, that's great news. So we're coming about halfway to our point, so I'd say we got about 45 miles or so to go to the next VOR. Then the next one should give us a distance readout. Not sure though, but at least we'll have a heading and we know we're descending. And First Officer Roger is tracking our progress on the map, so we're good there. Take a look at our fuel. go. See, we're running off main tanks only. We started with almost 2,000 pounds per tank, and we've used just over, or just under half. So we're doing good on the fuel. We're not carrying too much. All the rest of our fluids, anti-icing fluids, oil. So again, you can see we've used a little bit of oil for the 4 engines, and then we haven't used any water. So we're all good. Hope everybody's enjoying the flight in the back. It's a military flight, so there's not really much in the way of service in the back. It's kind of like bring your own. Number 3 engine's using slightly more fuel than number 4. Take a look at that. So we looked at pressure is the same. RPMs are the same, but it's got a higher fuel burn. Come over to our panel here. If we go into our maintenance manager, see, all 4 engines are healthy. They've both got about 4.5 hours on them, or 5.5 hours, or slightly more on them. Since they were last checked, we got plenty of oil. If we look at the stress, there's no stresses on anything right now. Everything's operating within the green. So it is all good. Oh, somebody asked me what this wheel is. That's the steering wheel for the nose wheel steering. That's how you can steer without when the control lock is on and the rudder can't move. You use the wheel to turn the nose wheel when on the ground. Interesting town name we're passing. Just it's kind of off in this direction. It's called Bad Kissing. Not sure what that says for the town's populace. We're not far from, if you're trying to figure out where we are, we're not far from Frankfurt. Frankfurt's off in this direction, about 65, 70 miles. And Stuttgart is located south of Frankfurt. So 4,000 feet is the intercept for the ILS. We'll be intercepting it's at 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, about 9 miles out from the end of the runway. And then there's a missed approach procedure. basically it's climb out straight ahead to 5,000 feet, then make a turn to the north, and then you head out towards the VOR. Not expecting that. Our decision height will be 1381, which is 200 feet above the ground on a Cat 1 approach. It is Cat 3B certified. Yeah, Nuremberg, I saw that on the charts. Very famous town. If you're familiar with World War II. Not only was Nuremberg heavily bombed during the war, it's where the International Court held the war crimes trials for Germany after the war. We're about 23 miles out from the VOR. So because we're going to keep following this heading and everything, I'm going to go over to gyropilot mode at the moment. We'll get this set up early. So we're going to come up, we're going to switch over to 117.8, which is the next VOR. And that one takes us down towards Dinkelsbühl. And then we're going to make that active. And then we're going to put in our ILS frequency here on this one, which is 119.9. And we're going to want the heading down to that VOR to be 160. So we're going to dial in 160 on the OBS. You can see that it's picking it up. It's 50 miles away and it's giving us the direction. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to wait for this to come in. And then as it comes in, when it gets to about the first dot, we'll activate localizer mode, and then we'll be starting our descent at that point. And that will be our indicator for when we're crossing over the VOR, because that radio cuts right through where the VOR is, so that's how we can tell without the distance measuring when we're crossing overhead. Kind of using it as a nav fix. And it's kind of looking like the clouds are clearing a little bit to the south, so that's good. I think we can kill the anti-ice now. We'll leave the windshield heat on. Again, when we get to the DKB VOR, we're going to take on a heading of approximately 210 degrees. And that should take us in towards the intercept for the ILS. I think we're about 6 miles out, 6 or 7 miles out from the VOR. So again, for the descent, we're going to disengage the altitude hole. We're going to wheel down until we get 1,000 foot per minute descent rate. And once we cross through 10,000 feet, we'll run our descent checklist and we'll level off at 4,000 feet. Once we are level, we will do our in-range checks, and that will start bringing everything down. We'll start slowing down, and then once we hit 175 knots, we're going to start in with the flaps, bring us into 20-degree flaps. Once we're on the approach, we'll do our landing checklist, and at that point we will have throttles again. And we're going to want to maintain. So if we look at quickly, that's coming in, we'll do this quickly. If we look at our load, we are at 717. So if we go up to here, and we go to the landing side, 717, so we'll take it to 75, we'll go with the faster speed. Approach is going to be 128, and our landing is going to be 99. So basically 130 and 100 on the landing. See the radials coming in, the marker, we're getting closer to the VOR, we're getting closer to that marker. Or the radial itself. So we passed over the dot. So we'll come over here. We'll now go into localizer mode. I'm going to turn onto the radial. And that's going to take us down to the new VOR. We're going to disconnect the altitude hold. And we're going to start dialing in for our descent. We want to bring her down to about 1,000 feet per minute. Again, mouse moved. So we'll turn that back on. Gyro pilot on. Engage. Localizer. And we're climbing like crazy. That's what happens when you misclick on the wheel, and next thing you know, everything goes right out of control. Alright, let's get her down to 1,000 feet per minute. There we go. So we're on course. We're descending now. Back under control. Keep that 1,000 feet per minute going. And as the air gets thicker and speed starts changing, we're going to have to keep dialing it in. We're looking good. We're on track. I wish you couldn't misclick like that as the airplane's moving around. It's 12,000 feet. Speed's increasing. As speed increases, it's going to decrease the rate of descent. So you got to keep adjusting. Because I clicked on here and it automatically shut it off. Yeah, see, it did that and then it went and very annoyingly caused issues. So as soon as this one kicks in, the VOR 2, I know that we are within range, and I'll be able to use the ILS. You've abandoned me. That's horrible. Alright, so we're going to dial in the barometer here, 010 or 1017. Same over here. There we go. It's 10,000 feet. So we'll do our descent checklist.
26 inches, please. Setting 26 inches.
Bringing the power back.
26 inches set. Descent checklist, please. Altimeters and flight instruments cross-checked. Seatbelt signs on. On. Engine blower is low. Low. Descent checks are complete.
We're still going down about 1,200 feet per minute. Air's getting a little bit thicker. We're going to slow down slightly. And we should ease off on the vertical speed slightly as well when we get down a little bit further. 55 miles to go according to the overlay. And the crew have us arriving in 30 minutes. Outside air temperature is now above 0 degrees. So we'll click that back to the first setting. It's 8,000 feet. $12 miles out from the VOR. Three and a half thousand feet to go on the descent. The sky is definitely clearing up. You can see just a few clouds out there. And the airport's over in this direction. 3,000 feet to go. Everything's looking good out over the left wing. No little men tearing chunks of it off. Two and a half thousand feet to go. 7 miles out from the VOR. Good. See, we're at quite the down angle.
We have begun our final descent into your destination. Flight attendants will be passing through the cabin to select any track one final time. Please ensure the table and stone are in the full upright position. Please also store any carry-on items either in the back pocket or under the seat plan.
1,200 feet to go. 3 miles from the VOR. Gyro pilot mode on. We're going to begin a right turn. And I'm going to start to level us off here. Everyone for 210. 100 feet. Feet. $4,000 feet. Coming up for 210. Now. Alright, we're inbound for the ILS. Speed starting to come back. We'll do our in-range checks now.
Cooling turbine. Normal. Fuel booster pumps. On low. Fuel tank selectors. Mains on, crossfeed off. Hydraulic bypass valve.
Gonna go to 220.
No smoking signs. On. In-range checks complete.
Speed's coming down. We're about 187. $220. So when we land, we're going to be exiting to the right to the main terminal area. And as I mentioned, as soon as that needle flips, that means we're in range, and I can go over, hit this one, and we'll be good. I'm using it on the other one just to keep a distance readout of where we are. Speed is continuing to come down. We're at 183. There's the DC-6s coming in. You got the Spitfire. There's Yoke. Don't see Irish Donut. Again, it's looking really good down here over the towns and stuff. Speed's down to 180, so I find it tends to hover at about 180 and it won't go down to 175, which is the flap extension speed. So what I'm going to do is just give it that first notch of flap a little fast, but that'll help us start getting that speed to come down. See, there's the first notch of flaps. Next notch of flaps going in. These have big barn door flaps too, as you've seen them on the ground. So we got some mountains down here, a little bit of hills and some low cloud. And flaps 20. Make another bit of a right turn. We're going to go to 230. Just keep working our way inwards for the intercept for the ILS. So the way the ILS intercept is going to work, we will go to localizer mode once this is switched over, and she'll come in and track the localizer. Then when the glide slope is at that first line there, before we intercept, we will turn off the altitude hold. And that will enable it to run down the glide slope. Because if you forget to turn off the altitude hold, even though you hit the glide slope, she will not descend down it. Because it's a physical lock on your altitude. And also once that, nice low cloud there, once that flips over, we're going to do our before landing checklist as well. Kind of leave that towards the end because not only, well, it would put the flaps down, but it'd be a bit late for us with the flaps, but it drops the gear and everything, and we don't want the gear down too soon because we're going to have to be watching our speeds. Again, we want 130 on the approach and 100 as we cross the end of the runway. So the airport is off in this direction. We got some nice hills coming up. We're now 20 miles from the VOR. We should be about 20 miles from the intercept of the ILS. That'll put us about 30 miles out from the airport, and as you can see on the display, it says 32, so we're not doing too badly. There's our escort. I think that window of March 1962, 25,000 feet is what it's rated for. Pretty cool. The level of detail in these airplanes is amazing. This is my first PMDG airplane as well. So we are slowing down. We're down to 140. And she should sit here at 140 at this power setting. Go to 240. There we go. So the actual runway heading is 252. Those flaps down. Planes ahead of us. Don't know where everyone else has gone. They seem to have all vanished. All right, 25 miles out from the airport. You can see we've flicked over onto the approach. So we're going to come over. We're going to switch over nav 1. See localizer. We do not have the glide slope yet. It's fine. It's how it kicks in a little bit closer. coming in. So we're 20 miles out. I'm going to switch over to localizer. Should pick up the localizer, we'll fly in, and then when that becomes active, we'll go into approach mode. In fact, there I think is the airport down. That's the this aircraft, but I think the airport's out that way. Miles out. Oh, there's Donut Man. Oh, there we go. Dark Fury. Mighty Mackerels over there. We're turning. Looks like we're lining up. 18 miles. There we go. Glide slope has come on. So we're going to go back to gyro. Let it reset, and then approach mode. And again, once the glide slope gets down to the first dot above the center, we'll go and deactivate the altitude hold. And that'll start us down. So, before landing checklist.
Flaps 20. Setting flaps 20.
Flaps are already 20.
Flaps set. Mixtures rich, please. Auto rich. Mixtures set. Gear up and down, please. Gear up and down.
There goes the gear. Ah, come on, where's that view I set? There it is. Wow. A little late, but there's the gear coming down.
Down and locked, 3 greens, routes, 2400 RPM.
Looks like I have the runway in sight.
2400 RPM set. Cow flaps, plus 3 degrees. Cow flaps set. ADI. ADI off. ADI is off. Landing lights. Speed good, extending lights.
So we're 15 miles out.
Extended and on. Carbine. Carbine cold, set cold. Before landing checks complete.
So I now have the power, the throttles. I just activated them all. So we're going to maintain that 100. You see our speed's down to about 130, which is what we want. Remember, it's 130 on the descent, and then 100 over the threshold. So we're configured for landing. We're slowing down, which we don't want yet. So we're going to come up to 110 on the power. Don't want to slip below 120. Just going to monitor. Number 4 engine's down a little. There we go. Number 1's a little high. We're still below the glide slope. We're 12 miles out. I said we'd intercept around 9, so we got about 4 miles to go. Let's see how hilly it is down here. Speed's about 126. Yeah, I think that is connection issues because everyone's appearing again when I look back the last time. So I'm sure the Xbox community is huge and it's added a lot of people in. So glide slope is coming in. You can see the smokestacks up ahead of us here. I'm going to be coming in over those. Looks like Oki's on his approach in. Alright, so there we go. We just crossed over 1 dot to go, so I'm going to disconnect the altitude hold. And she should roughly hold altitude here. She might bob a little bit. That's fine. She's going to intercept and then it'll take over. We'll just have to watch her airspeed again. There she goes. Glide slope intercepted. Power back to 90. It's 130. Speed still increasing. We'll bring the power down to 70. And flaps 30. Keep the power at about 70. 130 on descent. Flaps 40. 500 feet we'll go to flaps 50. Alright, speed's coming back again. We'll go up to 80 on the power. 120, slowing down, we'll go up to 90. Again, juggling the throttles. Really coming down. We'll go to 110. Coming over the stacks. Heading into the airport. Speed's coming back up to 120. I can't really see much out that way. A little bit of graphical glitching, but it's not bad. So we're on the localizer, we're on the glide slope. Speed's good. 4.5 miles out. Again, 1,200 and change is the airport elevation. 1,300 feet above the ground, outer marker. Precision height is 1,500 feet. And flaps full will be at 1,700 feet. Valley there. Very scenic part of Germany down here in the southern reaches. That's good. The stream's been looking good. Everything's been working very well, so I'm happy with the way this has gone. Alright, we got 2 whites, 2 reds. Everything's lined up. 1,700 feet. Flaps full. Speed's coming back. Power to 100. Alright, minimums, landing. Middle marker. Autopilot's off. Whoa, look at that hill. I'm not sure if that's realistic or not. Well, I know that's not. We're down. Reversers are on. It's 50 knots. 40 knots. Reversers off.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our destination. The local time is
We're gonna get off here at Echo.
11:05 a.m. and it's currently about 8 degrees Celsius. You can now use your mobile devices. Please remain seated until the aircraft.
There's no mobile devices in
stops.
1962.
Remember to use caution when opening the overhead bins, as items may have been shifted during the flight. If this is your final destination, we thank you for flying with us.
Welcome to Stuttgart.
For connection, we encourage you to check your itinerary to ensure a smooth continuation of your journey.
Alright. After landing checklist, please.
After landing checks complete.
Yeah, I know, Okie. That's crazy. That's a big terrain glitch there. Kind of threw me off as I came in. Okay, just looking for parking spots. Taxi down. Probably park up by wherever Dark Fury goes. I thought it was a successful flight. Look at that little Spitfire coming up behind you. Should be some ramp parking out here, which I'm going to use. Yeah, there they are. We'll take the first one here. Not bad, we arrived 5 minutes early. Yeah, this terrain is rather bumpy here. Well, at least we know Germany's the next on the list to get their upgrade, so hopefully this will resolve a lot of this stuff. That's it. Hit my tail. Oh, a little bit of a terrain tear. Alright, we'll just stop right where we are here. So, parking brake is on. And Fred, you can shut us down.
Parking brake is set. Cut entrance.
Here comes Donut Man. That's not bad. 4 DC-6s, a Spitfire, and 2 King Airs. There we go. Start getting everybody off. I was wondering if that was still going to come up.
Engines complete. A-plan secure.
And stairs. Come on. Stairs. There we go. And there's the Spitfire. Oh, he's changed liveries again. Alrighty. Well, I don't know where the other guys have gone, but it was a pretty successful DC-6 flight. And oh, you crashed when the logbook came up. Oh man. Well, thanks everybody for flying with us today. It was a very good flight. Looks like the new graphics are kind of working and set up okay. So we will try again on Wednesday. It is the Britain flight, so we'll see what the new sim looks like with all these improved graphics down low to the ground as we continue our tour across Britain in the little general aviation aircraft. See you all very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.